students, dear participants, families and friends, dear members of the Henri Dunant Prize Foundation, dear board members, dear faculty and teaching assistants, dear colleagues and friends. Welcome to the graduation ceremony of the Geneva Academy for the academic year 2023-2024. For those who don't know me, I'm Gloria Gajali. I'm professor at the University of Geneva, and I'm the former director of the Geneva Academy. It is a great pleasure to see you so numerous in this beautiful room and auditorium, the Pictet Auditorium, which is located in the Maison de la Paix, so in the Geneva Graduate Institute, one of the parent institutions of the Geneva Academy. I'm very happy to see that many of you are attending here, but also that we have people following online. So please let me now immediately give the floor to Professor Nico Krisch, who is professor at the Geneva Graduate Institute, and who is member of the board, and who is going to represent Paola Gaeta, the director of the Geneva Academy.
Thank you, Gloria. Dear students, dear families, friends, faculty, participants, guests. So I'm, as Gloria said, in a slightly difficult position because I have to stand in for Paola Gaeta, which is entirely impossible, obviously, as you can imagine, and I will not even try to imitate her in any particular way. Instead, I'm here really to convey her congratulations to the graduating classes, and also those of the International Law Department of the Graduate Institute, one, as Gloria said, of the parent institutions. And of course, congratulations to you, the ones who have finished those degrees, but also to the families, many of whom are here today and who've made possible for many of you to actually come to Geneva and study the degrees that you have aspired to study. Now, I also want to say how proud and impressed we all are with this cohort of brilliant, inspired, and imaginative students who are very soon no longer students, but instead move on, or in some cases have already moved on to become participants in the processes around human rights and international humanitarian law you have studied and observed so far. Now, these processes are, of course, not always cheerful, and I say that after what is probably a particularly tough year. Tough especially for those who set out to hold up the values of humanity that IHL and human rights are there to safeguard and realize. Many of you, students, many of us as well, will have had doubts as to what all this law actually serves for in the face of brutal and often seemingly lawless conflicts. In a context in which the right to life seems to count for little, and in which arguments from international humanitarian law sometimes seem not to constrain but to enable boundless war. Now, of course, one response of the slightly gray-haired, seasoned international lawyer might be to say, well, it's always been like that. And of course, in a way, it always has. But then also, it hasn't, and I think the situation today is somewhat special, particularly for the gap that has arisen, the gap between the blatant ignorance of the laws of war in Ukraine, in Gaza, in Sudan, and the expectations that have built up over the past decades. For our expectations today are different than they have been in the 1910s, in the 1950s, or 1980s. We've come to believe that the law of the Geneva Conventions and the international covenants are not just there on paper, but that it actually means something. Now, I started studying international law in the 1990s, and out of all our shock about the inhumanity we witnessed in Rwanda and Bosnia also came out the conviction that things could get better, that impunity could be ended, that lawlessness could be contained, and that the creation of the International Criminal Tribunals and the ICC helped us believe that we were on a certain path of progress. Now, the world is different today, and we still have these hopes and beliefs, but large-scale conflict is back in ways that we maybe haven't imagined back then, and the international community is ever more divided. And we see this gap between our expectations and the reality on the ground much more clearly today. But that's not a reason to despair. After all, it is really significant, I think, how many people around the world hold out beliefs in international human rights, humanitarian law, international law more generally. How many of them flock to their screens to watch how decisions of the International Court of Justice are read out. How many of them have not become altogether cynical already. Now, this is something that we can build upon. And remember that human rights and IHL are fragile achievements. Achievements despite all their flaws, and always at risk of being undermined. Achievements that are always also work in progress, that will only mean something in the world if enough people stand up for them. And that is true both for participants in major events like the International Conference of the Red Cross and Red Crescent that will be upon us next week here in Geneva, but also of the many smaller interventions that make law relevant on a day-to-day basis in so many sites. So that's where you come in. Because that work in progress is also your work now. You're moving on from the classroom to so many places. Many of you are occupying already so many places in international organizations, in NGOs, in governments, in offices and in the field. So many places in which you can and do make a difference, in which you can make human rights and IHL live in the face of all the frustrations. For, and I quote Martin Luther King, human progress is neither automatic nor inevitable. Every step toward the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle, the tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. Well, this is you now, and I hope that we've prepared you well for all those tireless exertions. But just before that, however, there's a moment to pause and to celebrate. And I send you my congratulations, all our congratulations, and good luck for all the struggles to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nico, for this profound welcoming speech. I turn now to Professor Christian Beauvais, who is honorary professor of the University of Geneva, our other parent institution, and who is the president of the board of the Geneva Academy, who contributed already a lot to the work of the Geneva Academy. So thank you for all your help.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear graduates, in fact, I should have simply said, dear students, the same way as Nico and Gloria said it before. Because, everybody in this room should be a student. Even your professors should be students. And I think, those who don't understand this, should not be here, to be very simple. Indeed, every day, we have to learn something, and especially in this field. And if you don't think so, life will quickly remind it to you, or you will be dead, or at least you will be dead from an academic standpoint. This is not to put a dark spot to reassure you. It's not to put a dark spot on the wonderful graduation day, but just to emphasize the fact that receiving a diploma is only one step in a career. It never stops a career. It's just one step. And you will have many other steps afterwards. And this is especially true when one deals with international humanitarian law and human rights. I'm saying this not only because of the events you see every day and that Nico Krish just reminded you of before, that you see on the media, but also based on what you learned during your courses and seminars at the Academy. History shows you that there is no quiet period in these fields of law. I don't think that ever, there was a quiet period. You certainly know about the latest statistics published by the ICRC. There are today more than 120 armed conflicts in the world, 120. And you may very likely add a few zeros if you want to assess the number of violations of human rights. So, as graduates of the Academy of International Humanitarian Law, and human rights, you are not allowed to become bureaucrats. You must be practitioners. In fact, you must practice humanitarian law and human rights every day, including when you will be doing some scientific research. You must focus on the victims. You must think of the victims. This is your own responsibility. I'm convinced that during your studies at the Academy, you developed not only a sense of responsibility, but at least I hope, a sense of accountability. And you should be very proud of it, as much as you should be proud of your diploma and the achievement it symbolizes. Dear graduates, you chose challenging fields of law, and in spite of the terrible challenges they carry, these fields are also exciting. You will certainly have doubts from time to time about your mission. You should then remember, I hope, these words of Lewis Carroll in Alice in Wonderland. If the world has absolutely no sense, who is stopping us, and I would say who is stopping you from inventing another one? This will be my conclusion, but not my last word. My last word on behalf of the director of the Academy, Professor Paola Gaeta, of the two institutions represented here, and of course the University of Geneva, of which I am a professor. I would just like to say my last word, which is congratulations. Please enjoy this very nice ceremony.
Thank you very much, Christian. Indeed, we are always going to continue to be students, and life is a beautiful journey because we learn so much all the time. Thank you for reminding us of that. I would like to thank our parent institutions, both of them, because without them, the Geneva Academy would not exist. It has been created by our parent institutions, and without them, we cannot continue the work. I would like also to thank Professor Paola Gaeta, the director of the Geneva Academy, for having asked me to play the role of Master of Ceremony, as this gives me the opportunity to celebrate this important moment with you. Indeed, graduation ceremonies are always important and special moments. I remember the recruitment of our head of education, Dr. Clotilde Pégorier. When I asked her what brings her joy in her work, while she was already working in an academic institution in the university sector, she responded, "Well, I love the graduation ceremonies. I love seeing students happy, celebrating, and witnessing the result of all our hard work." And I have to say that I could fully relate to this, and I immediately thought she is the right person for this position. And I was evidently right, because we would not be here today without her contributions and the contribution of her team. So thank you, Clotilde. Indeed, this is a moment of celebration for what you, dear students, have achieved. At the same time, graduation ceremonies are also a moment to take a step back and think about the future. In doing so, we inevitably reflect on the state of the world and how we can make a positive contribution, how we can use our energy, knowledge, and expertise to make a difference. Let me briefly expand on these two aspects. First, a moment of celebration for your achievements, and second, a moment of reflection as we look to the future. So today, we are here to celebrate 104 outstanding students, participants from every corner of the world who took part in one of the Geneva Academy's 3 master's programs, the Executive Master in International Law in Armed Conflict, the LLM in International Humanitarian Law and Human Rights, and the Master in Transitional Justice, Human Rights, and the Rule of Law. To each and every one of you, a huge congratulations on reaching these remarkable achievements. It took tireless hours of study and dedication, flexibility in adapting to new teaching methods, mastery of complex legal frameworks, and for some, even navigating across different disciplines. It took also the ability to think critically, to challenge assumptions, and embrace diverse perspectives, especially through hands-on role plays. It took creativity. Clearly, this was showcased by the brilliant master thesis you've produced. Beyond academic success, you've also honed invaluable soft skills, communication, teamwork, leadership, and adaptability skills that you will undoubtedly need and that will be as important as your technical knowledge in shaping your future impact. You've shown genuine passion for your fields of study. You worked hard, both on your own and as part of teams, always with a sense of respect and collaboration. You balanced the demands of exams, papers, and for many of you, especially in the Executive Master Program, full-time jobs. You really maximized your time here in International Geneva, seizing opportunities for internship, events, and competitions like the PICTE competition. You embraced the diversity within this community, turning it into one of our greatest strengths. You supported one another through the ups and downs, and that support came not only from within, but also from your families and friends. They, too, deserve our thanks and recognition for standing by you and helping you succeed. For all these reasons, the knowledge you've gained, the soft skills you've developed, and the expertise you've sharpened, I couldn't be more proud of what you've been able to accomplish. I know, without a doubt, that you will each bring your own unique light to the world, offering your wisdom and values to make a lasting difference in these turbulent times. So this brings me to the second aspect I would like to develop, this famous moment of reflection. Indeed, we live in turbulent times. This past year, in 2023-2024, we have seen many intense conflicts and widespread suffering. The ongoing Russia-Ukraine war continues to devastate countless lives, with heavy losses amongst both civilians and soldiers. The Israel-Hamas conflict has escalated into one of the deadliest of the Middle East, and now new fronts have opened involving Hezbollah, Lebanon, and Iran. Additionally, the conflicts in Sudan, Myanmar, and Ethiopia each leave a trail of destruction, death, and displacement in their wake, driving millions from their homes and destabilizing entire regions. Even with these immense humanitarian needs, the humanitarian sector is struggling to secure the necessary resources, especially for the so-called forgotten crisis and conflict. The international system seems to be hitting a breaking point. Diplomacy is being drowned out by violence, and violations of IHL have become alarmingly commonplace. But despite this dark reality, we must hold on hope, not only to the much-needed idealism of Henri Dunant, but also the pragmatism and action-driven spirit of Moignet. This year, as we celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Geneva Conventions, we are reminded that these universal treaties are more important and relevant than ever. It is up to us to ensure their principles echo around the world. Now, our community, I mean by that you, students, but also alumni, professors, and researchers, have a vital role to play. We must continue to engage in the important academic and policy debates surrounding these difficult issues. The real strength of academic institutions lies in the ability of their members to analyze complex situations with rigor and to bring together diverse perspectives in a safe space where we can collectively build new knowledge and solutions. But most importantly, you, dear students, are the future. You are the lawyers, you are the practitioners, you are the policymakers and advocates who will help shape the world to come. Last year, your predecessors introduced a tradition, a simple yet profound act. They reminded us that while we gather here to celebrate, conflicts rage on and lives are being affected every day. So together, we decided to carry on that tradition forward this year. So this tradition is a minute of silence, which serves as a symbol of our commitment to uphold international humanitarian law, human rights law, and to work towards peace, reconciliation, and justice. It is a moment for us to connect with the victims of armed conflicts, with their pain, and to express our solidarity. So I now invite you to join me in a minute of silence. I thank you. Our keynote speaker tonight is Sareta Ashraph, who is barrister, senior legal advisor, U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum and Center for Justice and Accountability. And the title of her talk is, Who Do We See When We Work Towards Justice? Welcome, Sareta.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to see so many of the students come out today. I'm looking forward to spending some time with you in the reception that follows. I'm speaking about who do we see when we work towards justice. A few months ago, I was lucky enough to sit with a group of Afghan women judges who are now all living in exile. One of them was a judge who worked in the criminal courts, specializing in cases involving violence against women. It may be that one day those courts and the laws that underpin it will exist again in Afghanistan, but as I stand here today, they no longer exist. On her last day as a judge, she left her home and went to work. While she was at work, her husband called her and said, "Don't come home. People are here asking for you." And so she never went home again. Her flight started that afternoon from her law offices. She said, when you flee, you take what you need. The things she would have taken would have been different if she had known she was leaving and was leaving from her home. But as she was going from her law offices, she took what she thought she would need as she left. And one of those things was a book on truth and justice. So she took it with her, but it was quite heavy. And at some stage, she put it down and left it behind. And so as we were sitting in this little restaurant in the country where she was now living, she said to me, "If anyone asks you how far you can get on truth and justice, I think it's about 8 miles. It does feel that way today. We do feel like we're living in a world where justice has been left behind us, that it's some way back around a dusty road in a time that's becoming fast history rather than future. In truth, for some people, for them and their ancestors, they have long lived in a world where justice is not present in their daily lives. For those of us who are building lives centered around justice, centered around understanding justice, around pursuing justice, supporting communities who are carving paths towards justice, it has been a time of reckoning. Systems of power, including systems of justice, do not see everyone equally. They do not value everyone equally, and they do not serve all victims and survivors equally. And where there has been progress, as there undoubtedly has been, it has been nonlinear. We continue to see systems of power continue to reassert themselves. Nothing is given to us. We resist and we rebuild. And sometimes when blocks come tumbling down, we take a moment, for some of us, some moments longer than others, and we rebuild again. And we keep working while others of us gather their strength to continue the fight onwards. So the question that I'm asked to speak about is, who do we see when we work towards justice? And I'm going to speak about three things. First, do we see the person in front of us, for those of us who are justice actors? The first question, I think, is in some ways not who do we see, but when we see them, are we seeing them as full people, not simply as victims or survivors, not as Gazans or Ukrainians or Afghans or Swiss in some situations? Are we seeing them as full people who are not just victims and survivors, but who themselves are agents of change, who themselves have the capacity to speak out? In truth, none of us who are lucky enough are really voices for the voiceless. It's simply that those voices are not being heard loud enough. And so the first question we always ask is, when we ask about who do we see, is who do we see and what is their role in this situation? How can we center those whose voices so often go unheard in the conversations about justice, in the discussions about justice, and in the actions taken in carving a path towards justice? Nevertheless, it's also true that those of us who have been working, who have been studying in law and justice, we come armed with knowledge, with experience, and over the course of years, growing expertise that can help victims and survivors and the communities that they come from. It becomes integral in those situations that we really see the people who require our help, that we don't simply see them as in a gender-blind way. One of the things that is really important is to understand how those harms are designed, are committed against, and impact people of different backgrounds. Within victim and survivor communities, there are layers of exclusion and visibility, of exclusion and also obscurity. And so part of the question is also to see, when someone's in front of us, how is who they are affected how those crimes have been committed against them? Is it their gender, their age? Are they of indigenous origin? Do they have chronic illnesses? These are important parts of ensuring that when you're surfacing the harms, when we're seeking ways in which to bring about justice, however broadly that is defined, whether it is through transitional justice, whether that's through policy changes and through criminal accountability, it's increasingly important that we truly understand the harms that have been done, how they've been accomplished, and how often they build upon existing bigotries, prejudices, and structural inequalities that continue to burst into view. It is a mistake to think that those who are affected by injustices, it is a space of a cataclysm of violence that is limited in time and space. Often communities that are affected by violence again and again and again throughout the course of human history. Part of understanding and bringing justice is knowing why. The second group that I would ask you to see are those who are sitting all around you. Much is made in this profession of mentors. Mentors are very important. I don't think I would know the things I would know without people who were more senior to me, guiding me and advising me, some of whom are in this room today. But what's really important, I think, are those who are your colleagues, your compatriots, your friends, what are often called buddies, lateral mentors, if you will. I spent my formative years in my beginning of my career in Sierra Leone, at the Special School for Sierra Leone. And I don't think I would be who I am now and where I am now without those who came up with me, whether it's at the court or in NGOs or at the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It is the people that are sitting around you today that will end up not only improving the quality of your career, but also the quality of your lives. It is them who will know the challenges and the opportunities that your particular generation will face. Also look at the people a bit further from you, which are your family and your friends. They will be incredibly important. You may love the law, you may love justice, but there are definitely going to be times when it will not love you back. Families and friends are a refuge, whether it's those you were born with or those you choose to bring into your life. It's important that you take care of them as you move forward in this career. Longevity in this career is partly taking care of those and finding your place in the world professionally, but also personally. And then finally, I'd say, please, the people you have to see include, please see yourselves. Think about what you need and also what you need to do as you move through this profession. Learn the law. The law is continually evolving. I today had to teach a class, and I had to learn a whole bunch of law about 3 hours before the class started. Hopefully none of my students are here. Be visible when you're speaking about who you see. It's important that you be visible and that you bring yourself to the table. Make sure to participate in events and participate in discussions. Be okay with making mistakes. Even judges are overruled. It's an important part of growing as a lawyer and as a person. And bring your full self to the table. I spoke a little bit about understanding the person in front of you whom you may be interviewing, who you may be discussing. But also keep in mind, everyone is bringing their own history, their own experiences to their understanding of the law and of the facts. The law is not impartial, and your experiences and your perspectives are valuable. They help to develop the law and develop understandings in the rooms, which are increasingly becoming more diverse. If we'd been in a Hollywood movie in that restaurant when I was speaking to the group of Afghan judges, I would have said something very smooth and charming. I did not actually say anything smooth and charming. I was very much in awe of the women that were in front of me and the pain that they were going through as they were starting their lives afresh. But if we had been in a Hollywood movie, I might have said something like, well, justice is not a book. And they did not leave justice behind them on the road when they fled from Afghanistan. That justice was clearly a light within them. She was not sitting alone, as I said, take care of the relationships those around you. She was there with her other fellow judges together in that restaurant, and she was going to leave that restaurant and go home to her family. But there was a light within her, and there's a light within all of you here, students and others. Protect that light. I think you can feel it, I think. Take care of that light and take care of the light in those around you, in the survivors that you come in contact with, in advocates and civil society, in your family and in your colleagues. When we speak about trying to look forward and trying to see that justice is not on the road behind us, it's not in a physical object, we carry it forward with us. Think of us as each as a million points of light from a million different centers of energy and centers of daring. It's this energy that will propel us forward. It may be occasionally dimmed. That's okay. It's all right to take a step backwards and take care of yourself before you proceed onwards. But it is that energy that will give us the strength to carry justice forward, to build a world in which, hopefully, better than previous generations have done, where everybody is seen and where everyone is valued in justice systems and beyond. Thank you. Congratulations on your graduation.
Thank you, Sareta, for this very rich keynote speech, warm keynote speech with beautiful messages that we will keep. I'll turn now to the students' representatives, and I welcome the Executive Master Student Representative Amber Darwish.
Good evening, distinguished guests, faculty, friends, and of course my fellow graduates. It is an honour to stand here today to represent the graduating class of 2024 from the Executive Masters in International Law in Armed Conflict. Our cohort is a diverse group of professionals, lawyers, policy advisors, humanitarian workers, and military personnel, each bringing invaluable expertise and experience from across the globe. I am proud to be part of such an extraordinary group, united by our shared commitment to making a meaningful impact in a world where armed conflict is increasingly complex and unpredictable. I have travelled through streets lined with the remains of shattered buildings, where bullet-scarred walls and debris marked the devastation, while a lone woman and child walked their cattle to some distant patch of pasture that remained in the chaos. The local UN compound had recently been bombed, and a humanitarian convoy had been attacked, taking innocent lives. This was an active conflict zone, and I was on my way to speak to the national government, one of many working to uphold and implement international law in this deeply volatile environment. In those moments, I saw international law in action all around me, not just as theoretical principles, but as a powerful framework affecting real lives and shaping crucial outcomes. This real-world impact is where we are now better prepared to engage as executive graduates, using our skills and our expertise to drive meaningful change and action where it is most needed. Today, we are better equipped to translate these principles into meaningful actions that protect and empower those affected by armed conflict, while ensuring accountability for those responsible. We have deepened our mastery of international law, international humanitarian law, international human rights law, and international criminal law. Most importantly, we have learned to integrate our insights from each of these fields, creatively adapting these frameworks to real-world situations. This unique blend of knowledge empowers us to ensure that our advice and our actions are both informed and impactful. Amid the complexities of contemporary warfare, respect for international law is often tested. Yet its strength lies in people like us, those committed to turning principles into action for justice and protection. The passion and dedication which this cohort brings inspires hope and fuels a drive to confront our challenges ahead. Before I close, I'd like to express our heartfelt gratitude to our professors and mentors. Thank you for your guidance. To our family and friends, thank you. Your support has been our foundation. And of course, to my fellow graduates here and online, thank you for your camaraderie. It has been an honour to share this journey with you. Let us move forward as champions of accountability and defenders of dignity, using our skills in international law to shape a better future. Together, we can ensure that these principles of law are not just upheld, but truly felt by those who need them most. Congratulations to the class of 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber, for this testimony. I welcome now the LLM student representatives, Eileen Desmet and Pia Ulrich.
Dear fellow students, congratulations, we've made it. After one intense year, we finally earned our LLM degrees in international humanitarian law and human rights law. It only took us 1 year to learn rules designed for the military to be simple and to be used in the daily military life. Because the start was a bit rough, our dear Professor Sassoli decided to not only give us academical knowledge, but also let us experience the stress of a combatant in the field that can be targeted at all times. He did this by giving us an academic combatant status. As any good leader, he made us prepare for battle and experience the true fear of the battlefield. But instead of firing actual bullets at us, he adapted the training based on the characteristics of an LLM student. He fired academic questions at us that we had prepared in advance. To make us understand better that humanitarian law is complementary with other fields of law, the Academy made sure we were not only fighting on one front of law. There, we were also taught public international law, refugee law, and international human rights law. The same way Professor Sassoli figured out we're not very quick learners and things don't come that easily to us, the Academy wisely decided that one human rights law professor wouldn't be enough for us, so they provided us with both Professor Gajoli and Professor Clapham. Additionally, they organized weekly tutorials for us, which is a fancy word for tutoring, where the teaching assistants kindly revised our classes with us all over again until we finally understood. But even though we suffered during our academic battle, the Academy invited several humanitarians, militaries, and human rights activists to share their real-life experience from armed conflicts. We are very thankful for that, and to further add to the combat experience, the Academy provided us with dry crackers during every event hosted.
After one semester of absorbing basic academic combat training, we were finally sent off to our first mission, an unpaid internship. But to Professor Sassoli's disappointment, nobody did their internship as legal advisor of an armed group. However, all of us did their very best to implement human rights law and humanitarian law and to contribute to the valuable work of the organizations. To also grant us the experience of working as a humanitarian in armed conflict, the Academy let us experience our very first week of rest and relaxation holidays from being in a conflict area. So we went to Georgia, where we, as good LLM students, did not only relax, but thanks to the great organization of Katie, Zoe, and Melanie, could also follow our true passions: human rights law, humanitarian law, and partying. Next to the academic battle we had to fight, we were also fighting the harsh weather conditions in Geneva. But all jokes aside, all those more or less harsh conditions made us a very supportive and caring group of friends. We think we speak on behalf of all LLM students when we say that we had a truly amazing year at the Geneva Academy. We've learned so much, and now we're ready to implement our knowledge in a meaningful way. May it be as human rights defenders or military advisors, as PhD students or humanitarians in the field, working for international organizations or working for the government. It is certain that all these positions will have one thing in common: that we will be there to spread the ideals and the mission of the Geneva Academy, to promote and protect humanitarian law and human rights law. We can't wait to see all the great things everyone will achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, Eline and Pia, for these uplifting speeches. I turn now to the student representatives of the Master in Transitional Justice, Human Rights and Rule of Law, Diana Gomez Davila and Christian Molina Delgado.
Dear graduates, professors, family, and friends, it is an honor to us to stand here today on this day of celebration and immense pride. Today, we mark the end of one journey, a journey filled with new friendships, late nights, a trip to remember in Morocco, large amounts of coffee, and sometimes more readings than any of us could have imagined. But more importantly, today, we celebrate the beginning of another journey, a journey filled with challenges and opportunities. Opportunities to make a real difference in a world that needs our commitment in humanitarian law, human rights, and the rule of law more than ever.
As many of the speakers mentioned before, look around the room. We represent an incredible diversity of cultures, experiences, and perspectives. And it is this very diversity that has shaped our time here together, and that will strengthen our ability to tackle the complex challenges that lie ahead. We've learned from each other, debated, sometimes fiercely, but always respectfully, and above all, we have shared a common goal to work for a more humane world. As students of transitional justice and human rights, we know all too well their success and enforcement are not easy tasks. They demand patience, empathy, and sometimes uncomfortable truths. But we also know they are essential. They remind us that behind every case of impunity, every statistic, there is a human story, a voice that deserves to be heard. Our role as humanitarian and human rights workers is to amplify those voices and fight against injustice in whatever form it takes.
Each of us, coming from different cultures and backgrounds, brings something unique to this fight. And that's our greatest strength. In this group alone, we represent 27 different nationalities, speak even more languages, and come from 5 different geographic regions of the world. Our collective knowledge and the variety of our experiences allow us to see the world's problems from different angles and to find solutions that others might overlook. Together, our differences are not just a simple asset. They are the key to creativity, progress, and resilience.
More than anything, we've built something truly invaluable, a sense of community. What began as a group of strangers has evolved into a network of colleagues, friends, and allies. Together, we've shared experiences, overcome obstacles, and strengthened bonds of solidarity. And that sense of collective identity, of mutual support, that's something we will carry with us into our professional lives. It is one of the greatest gifts this program has given us, and it will continue to be one of our greatest strengths moving forward.
Now, as we prepare to step out of this academic bubble into the real world, it's very natural that some of us might be asking ourselves, what's next? After all the late nights, the debates, and the hard work we have done, the future can still seem a little bit uncertain, especially as we face a competitive and unpredictable job market. But let's remember something. Getting here already proves that we are capable of overcoming challenges. Every step we have taken has equipped us for the next one. And while the path ahead might not always be clear, we must trust in the process. And more importantly, and maybe a cliche, trust in ourselves.
And even when it sounds weird, let's embrace this uncertainty. Yes, we may face and we are facing challenges, but isn't there something exhilarating about the unknown sometimes? We are on the edge of new professional adventures, armed not just with technical skills, but with the resilience to tackle whatever comes our way. And we've got something more powerful than just degrees. We've got each other. We've built a support network that will help carry us forward in our careers and beyond.
As we stand here today, let us commit to carrying forward the determination, empathy, and courage that have brought us until this point. Because the best, it might, or not, or yes, is yet to come. On behalf of all of us, we want to express our deepest gratitude to the Geneva Academy. Your support has been invaluable, not only in providing us with an exceptional academic experience, but in creating an environment that fosters collaboration, innovation, and growth. We are forever grateful for the guidance and encouragement you have given us.
I also want to personally extend a heartfelt thank you on behalf of the students who have benefited from scholarships. Without the generosity of those scholarships, many of us, including myself, would not have been able to be here today. The opportunity to study here has been enriching, and we are committed to giving back by using the knowledge we have gained to advance human rights and transitional justice, as well as IHL, in our countries and around the world. So, to my fellow graduates, congratulations, we've done it. And to the professors, families, friends who have supported us along the way, thank you. We couldn't have done this without you. The future is waiting, and we are ready. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these wonderful speeches. Highlighting the diversity is really important for the Geneva Academy. And I appreciate also the fact that you referred to our donors, the donors of the Geneva Academy, because without them, we would not be able to have this fantastic diversity that you can witness tonight. So thinking about donors, I would like also to think about now the Henri Dunant Prize Foundation. Et à cet égard, permettez-moi de switcher et de parler en français. J'aimerais en effet dire quelques mots pour rendre hommage à M. Pierre-André Mourguedalgue, qui nous a quittés en décembre dernier. Il était le trésorier de la fondation du prix Henri Dunant et c'était un homme d'une grande humanité et d'une grande générosité, toujours prêt à aider. Il me disait aussi « Ah, est-ce que je peux aider? Est-ce qu'il y a des étudiants qui ont besoin d'une place pour vivre? Parce que moi, je peux leur trouver quelque chose. » Ça allait beaucoup plus loin que juste le prix Henri Dunant. C'était vraiment une passion pour les nouvelles générations, pour leur donner une chance. Donc nous garderons un souvenir impérissable de son soutien et de son engagement vrai pour les humanitaires de demain. Avant de donner la parole à M. Roger Durand, je souhaite également de tout cœur remercier M. François Bugnon. M. François Bugnon a récemment quitté le board de la Fondation du prix Henri Dunant. Et pour ceux qui ne le sauraient pas, M. François Bugnon a été un membre de l'Assemblée du CICR. Il s'agit d'un érudit de tout premier ordre qui a rédigé de multiples ouvrages sur le droit humanitaire, mais aussi sur le mouvement international de la Croix-Rouge et du Croissant-Rouge. Donc, cher François, j'aimerais vous remercier pour tout le travail que vous avez accompli au sein de la Fondation du prix Henri Dunant. C'était toujours un grand plaisir de pouvoir discuter avec vous des différents mémoires qui aspiraient à obtenir le prix Henri Dunant. Vous étiez toujours extrêmement bien préparés et aviez lu tous les mémoires avec minutie, mais aussi avec bienveillance. Merci d'avoir tant donné de votre temps et de votre savoir. C'était un honneur de pouvoir collaborer avec vous. So now comes one of the crucial moments of the ceremony, the award of the Henri Dunant Prize. So for the prize, I warmly welcome Mr. Roger Durand, who is the president of the Board of Trustees of the Fondation du Prix Henri Dunant, and also Mr. Etienne Kuster, a member of the board of the Geneva Academy and also of the Henri Dunant Prize Foundation. So you have the floor.
Madame la directrice, mesdames, messieurs, chères étudiantes, chers étudiants, la Fondation Prix Henri Dunant a été créée il y a une quarantaine d'années. Depuis lors, elle s'est donnée pour but d'encourager des personnes qui s'efforcent de prolonger ou de diffuser les idéaux humanitaires d'Henri Dunant. Et il m'a semblé utile maintenant de rappeler ces engagements d'Henri Dunant. Je vous prie de m'excuser, je dois même le faire, m'excuser de parler en français à Genève. C'est vrai que c'est assez impressionnant à quel point le droit international humanitaire est, on pourrait dire, capté par la langue américano-anglaise. Mais j'espère que vous me comprendrez quand même, et sinon, ce texte sera aussi en anglais sur notre site. Donc j'aimerais résumer les engagements d'Henri Dunant. Nous commençons en 1852 à Genève. Animé d'une foi intense, il fonde l'Union chrétienne de jeunes gens de Genève avec quelques amis. Au-delà des clivages entre les églises chrétiennes, il s'efforce d'éveiller chez ces jeunes contemporains témoignage et respect de l'autre. Solferino, 1859. Après s'être lancé dans des affaires coloniales malheureuses en Algérie, il est confronté par hasard aux horreurs de la guerre et improvise alors des secours après la bataille de Solferino. Tutti fratelli, nous sommes tous frères face au malheur, lance-t-il aux femmes de Castiglione pour qu'elles soignent tous les blessés sans distinction de nationalité. Tunisie et États-Unis, 1863. En dénonçant l'esclavage, cause principale de la guerre de sécession, Dunant proclame publiquement son admiration pour le bey de Tunis, un roi musulman qui a aboli l'esclavage bien avant les États-Unis, terre chrétienne s'il en est. Genève, 1863-64. Pour Henri Dunant, un homme à terre, un ennemi à votre merci, doit être respecté quelle que soit sa nationalité, sa religion, la couleur de sa peau, ses convictions. La neutralité des soins devient la pierre angulaire de la Croix-Rouge internationale qu'Henri Dunant fonde grâce au Comité international et par la signature de la Convention de Genève du 22 août 1864. Paris, 1867. Plongé lui-même dans la misère, Henri Dunant essaye de promouvoir une bibliothèque internationale universelle pour que les cultures de la planète entière apprennent à se connaître au lieu de se jalouser. 30 ans plus tard, il s'enthousiasme pour l'espéranto, véhicule commun qui devrait aider les peuples à se comprendre, à se parler. Londres et Plymouth, 1872. Dans la capitale anglaise, il préconise la protection des prisonniers de guerre. Devant le Social Science Congress de Plymouth, il expose ses vues sur l'arbitrage international. Zurich et Bruxelles, 1890-1900. Donc nous avons un saut dans sa vie, c'est-à-dire une parenthèse d'oubli, de malheur, presque de déchéance. Féministe avant l'heure, et à sa manière, Dunant tente de mettre sur pied une croix verte qui serait, pour les femmes meurtries et les enfants vulnérables, ce qu'est la Croix-Rouge pour les militaires blessés. Amsterdam, 1902. Lorsqu'il publie l'ultime version de son Souvenir de Solferino, Dunant innove une nouvelle fois. Il propose que la Croix-Rouge internationale élargisse son champ d'action aux blessés et aux civils, et surtout à toute la population civile, ce que la Croix-Rouge internationale ne protégeait pas à l'heure. Il faudra attendre 1919, puis 1949. Et, vous le savez, en 1901, il avait vu sa vie couronnée par le premier prix Nobel de la paix partagé avec Frédéric Passy. Nous voyons donc une vie longue, une vie variée, une vie riche en engagement. Pour nous, elle est particulièrement exemplaire. Et pour vous, surtout, qui êtes la relève, c'est la preuve qu'un homme ou une femme, motivé par un profond idéal, peut et doit agir, mais aussi peut et doit s'adapter pendant toute son existence aux besoins de notre pauvre planète. Je vous remercie.
Madame la directrice, en son absence, professeur Krisch. Dear professors, dear students, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Henry Dunant Prize Foundation, it is our great pleasure to accompany once more the graduation ceremony of the Geneva Academy of International Humanitarian Law and Human Rights. I will now read the laudatio for the work of the 2024 Henry Dunant Research Prize laureate. This text was elaborated by two members of our board, Professor Cathy Clément and Mrs. Morgane Desboeuf, who could unfortunately not join us tonight, and whom I would like to thank wholeheartedly here. As a reminder, the Henry Dunant Research Prize is awarded by the board of the Henry Dunant Prize Foundation to individuals or organizations who have done outstanding work in furthering, promoting, and renewing the ideas and commitments of Henry Dunant. For more than 10 years, the Henry Dunant Prize Foundation Board has awarded the prize each year to the dissertation of one of the Geneva Academy students that best reflects the ideals, communication skills, and activism of Henry Dunant. This year, 3 dissertations representing Henry Dunant's values were nominated for the prize. First, Mrs. Hélène Desmet's dissertation examines the effectiveness of sanctions as a means of ensuring compliance with international humanitarian law. The second dissertation... The second dissertation, by Mrs. Ritika Sharma, deals with the religious foundations of Hinduism and Buddhism in the fight against sexual violence against women during hostilities. The third one, by Mrs. Clémence Vondon, looks at the dignity of victims and respect for their posthumous rights. The Henry Dunant Prize Foundation Board wishes to congratulate the nominees, 3 women, on the excellence of their work. We would also like to thank Geneva Academy for fruitful collaboration. The prize jury, gathering members of the Geneva Academy, the ICRC, and the Henry Dunant Prize Foundation, read the 3 submitted works with great interest. Once again, the choice proved difficult. While the 3 dissertations fall within the scope of the issues dear to Henry Dunant, one in particular caught the attention of both the jury at its meeting on 9th of October and the members of the foundation. Mrs. Ritika Sharma's work has thus been selected to receive the 2024 Henry Dunant Research Prize in recognition of the values conveyed in her paper. Congratulations. Firstly, because of Mrs. Sharma's interest in the victims of persecution, and more particularly women, two important themes in Henry Dunant's struggles. Indeed, as our president just said, Henry Dunant envisaged creating a green cross to protect women and children back in his days. Secondly, for the attention paid by Mrs. Sharma's work to the values of non-Western civilizations through the analysis of the religious foundations for the protection of women within Hinduism and Buddhism. Henry Dunant also used to question the so-called superiority of the Christian West without any hesitation, and railed against the destruction of non-European civilizations. Thirdly, Mrs. Sharma's ability to communicate and the deep compassion that runs through her thesis convinced the members of the jury. Henry Dunant himself showed a deep sensitivity to all human suffering and did not hesitate to seek support from all quarters. These values, which lie at the very heart of Henry Dunant's commitment, are particularly present in the work of Mrs. Sharma. The jury, the Geneva Academy, and the Henry Dunant Prize Foundation Board are hence delighted to award her the 2024 Henry Dunant Research Prize. They wish to congratulate her on her work and look forward to following her future career. Thank you very much, and congratulations. We will now call the laureate and Cécile Dunant Martinez, please, to join us, and also, if you'd like.
Et puis là, c'est Raphaël. Je te laisse les présenter. Oui. Tu présentes aussi Raphaël.
Oui. So, as a member of the Council of the Foundation and members of the family of Henry Dunant, Raphaël Morgadalc, son of the late Pierre-André Morgadalc, and myself, Cécile Dunant, we are just very happy to submit this prize to Mrs. Ritika, who is not here today, but she's online. So congratulations, and we just want to congratulate you for your work, for all what you have done, and the interest of the subject, which has been really very impressive, and all your work of all the students. Congratulations for tonight. Thank you.
My wonderful classmates and honored guests, it's an absolute honor to speak before you today. I'm deeply grateful for the Henri Dunant Research Prize for my LLM paper titled Harnessing Hindu and Buddhist Sources as Dictates of the Public Conscience, a gap filler to address sexual violence against women during conduct of hostilities. Before I dive into the research behind my paper, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to people without whom this would not have been possible. First and foremost, I'm incredibly grateful to my grandmother, my parents, and my sister for their constant support throughout my life. A special thank you goes to my supervisor, Dr. Michael Weiner, for guiding me throughout my research journey, especially for pointing out the weaknesses and gaps in my work. I would also like to express my gratitude to Professor Sassoli and Professor Ashraph, whose courses helped me build my research question and shaped my understanding of the subject matter. Professor Giccioli and Professor Clapham's work in classes have been a great source of inspiration for me. I'm equally grateful to all the professors at the Academy who taught me during the LLM program. I would also like to acknowledge the efforts of the teaching assistants and thank all my classmates, especially Bhagya, who helped me find and navigate the original Buddhist sources online. Now moving on to my research, my LLM paper focuses on the interplay between international humanitarian law, gender and religion. It explores whether the long-standing concept of the dictates of the public conscience can help address the gaps in IHL regarding the protection of women from sexual violence during conduct of hostilities. I chose this topic because sexual violence against women is an unfortunate reality in nearly every armed conflict. Despite this, the current IHL framework does not adequately address it. My coursework in IHL and Gender and International Crimes highlighted the feminist criticisms of IHL, while my course on religion, belief, and human rights showed me how religion is seen as a tool for violence. However, it is often misinterpreted. I've always loved reading the ICRC's publications on religious circles, and being familiar with Hinduism and Buddhism, I decided to focus on these religions in my research. My paper is divided into 3 main parts. The first part discusses how IHL falls short in protecting women during conduct of hostilities. Here I have examined the 2 feminist schools of thought, which criticize the inadequacy and lack of enforcement of IHL. The second part looks into the meaning and relevance of the dictates of the public conscience under IHL. Introduced in the Martin's Clause in 1899, the dictates of the public conscience today appears in provisions of denunciation under Geneva Conventions and also in Article 1 of the first additional protocol and preamble of the second additional protocol. It has already been studied to address issues of autonomous weapon systems and environmental damage. Here I argue that this concept can also be drawn from religious teachings. Then the third section of my paper is a non-exhaustive study into original Hindu principles of dharma and Buddhist code of conduct that prohibit sexual violence against women. In my research, I used readings from my courses as well as books from the Graduate Institute and an Indian library to deepen my understanding of Hinduism and Buddhism. I also looked into the original religious texts and their interpretations to gather insights that were not fully explored in previous publications. Bringing together IHL, gender, and religious principles for this specific research question was challenging but a wonderful learning experience for me. My paper's title includes a question mark, and I felt that my research would be incomplete without checking the facts on the ground. On the advice of my supervisor, I included a section titled Reality Check, where I explored whether the principles I uncovered in religious texts have been followed in practice on the battlefield during armed conflicts in South Asia. I critically examined the examples of the Myanmar conflict, the Sri Lankan Civil War, and the actions of Hindu nationalists in India to check the conduct on the ground. In the end, I referenced the ICRC's religious circles and the United Nations Faith for Rights Toolkit to emphasize how religious teachings can be part of the solution to combat sexual violence against women. As I move forward, I am excited to continue exploring and contributing to meaningful change in this field. This journey has been deeply rewarding, and I am truly grateful to everyone who has supported and guided me along the way. Thank you all for being part of this special moment.
Congratulations, dear Ritika. I'm happy to recall that the Henri Dunant Prize winning article will be considered for publication in the International Review of the Red Cross. This is a fantastic opportunity, and I would like to thank Mr. Bruno de Meyer, the editor-in-chief, for this opportunity for our students. Now, in addition to the Henri Dunant Prize, the Geneva Academy attributes prizes for the best executive master, LLM master paper, and also MTJ paper. So I would like, first of all, to thank the members of the selection committee who read 9 LLM papers, 6 MTJ papers, and 5 XMath theses. So the members of the committee are, in alphabetical order, Professor Giovanni Di Stefano, Professor Paola Gaeta, Dr. Sandra Krenman, Dr. Clotilde Pégorier, and myself. So the best XMath paper is authored by Kanako Ohara, and the paper is very original. It is on drones and mobile phones. How does international law protect children in armed conflicts? So I welcome Kanako Ohara for a little speech. You've really been visionary with your topic.
Good evening, dear colleagues, dear professors, dear guests and friends. I'd like to first of all express my deepest gratitude to the professors from the Academy, especially Professor Cameron, my supervisor, and to the teaching assistants for your knowledge and wisdom and guiding me throughout this academic journey. I'd like to thank my classmates, whom actually I'm meeting for the first time tonight, as our classes were exclusively online. We learn from each other by sharing our experiences from our work and knowledge, but we also share challenges and a fair amount of frustrations of studying and working at the same time. But here we are, we made it. And it wouldn't have been possible without an unwavering support of my family and my friends. Coming from a non-legal background, the course has been a constant learning and quite a struggle, to be honest. So I feel humbled to know that my paper could have shed light on the topic that is very close to my heart: protection of children in armed conflicts. My daughter, sitting somewhere here, reminds me every day of the reason to continue working in this field. As we know all too well, children around the world face the brutal realities of war every day, becoming victims, being exploited, and experiencing deep trauma. And yet, they also possess incredible resilience. In contemporary armed conflicts, digital tools such as mobile applications and commercial drones are playing pivotal roles. Alarmingly, those tools and gadgets are accessible to children, allowing them to potentially be involved in warfare, knowingly or unknowingly, directly or indirectly. In a digitalized world, upholding the principle of distinction is increasingly becoming difficult. This compelled me to explore how different legal frameworks and its interplay can respond to this rapidly evolving environment. Regarding the IHL, I looked at the notion of direct participation to the hostilities when a civilian, and even potentially children, participate in intelligence collection through a mobile app or using simple commercial drones, collecting GPS coordinates, for instance. I have also explored the different responsibilities of parties to the conflicts in this context, including the defending parties, to minimize risks of harm to civilians. Children could be instrumentalized in warfare in ways that are different from the traditional notion of use and recruitment of children in armed forces. So I have delved into the Lubanga case to better articulate the term use of children and direct part to hostilities prohibited under international criminal law and how it may apply today. Analyzing a case where school children are taught how to operate drones to counter enemy drones, I have looked at the negative and positive obligations of the states under international human rights law, not to create an environment to compel children to potentially be involved in warfare when such time comes. With the blurry nature of the digital warfare, we must be open to new interpretations of the law and to create a shift in normative framework through policy and practice. Protecting children and ensuring their best interests is not solely the responsibility of the states or parties to the conflicts. As parents, caregivers, and decision makers shaping children's environments, we all share this responsibility, and we must listen to their voices. I'd like to close my speech by sharing a powerful quote from our classmate, Osama Matermawi from Syria, who unfortunately couldn't be here with us today. His words capture the reason why we gathered here tonight, and why we must continue to learn and work together towards better implementation of international law, even when we feel powerless witnessing atrocities against children and innocent civilians. He said, by studying international law, we are not merely learning theory. We are preparing ourselves to be part of a community that can influence real-world change. This is not just an academic pursuit, but a moral imperative, and together we are determined to contribute to the realization of a world governed by law, fairness, and humanity. Thank you.
Now, the best LLM paper is afforded to Ozan Yildirim. On the involvement of non-state actors acting with the authorization, support, or acquiescence of the state in enforced disappearance and human rights litigation. So, Ozan, if you want to come. Congratulations.
I must admit it is rather difficult for me to address the topic of my paper and why I chose it. My family and I, we have been rather lucky. We never had to experience suffering in the form of an enforced disappearance, and I'm very well aware that there are individuals in this room that had to go through such horrors. Enforced disappearances are among the most despicable and disgusting human rights violations, and they occur all over the world, including Europe, which very often gets forgotten. Irrespective of where they occur, though, there is a common pattern of states making use of non-state actors in order to perpetrate such atrocities, as well as to escape their legal responsibilities. It is, in general, unbelievably difficult to bring perpetrators of enforced disappearances to justice due to the unknown surrounding this particular human rights violation. Nevertheless, despite the odds being against them, families, as well as civil society, have made tireless efforts to overcome the injustices and human rights violations they have been subjected to. They have proven time and time again that nobody, neither states nor non-state actors, operate in a legal vacuum. I would like to dedicate this moment to all the individuals which, despite enduring such horrors, never gave up their quest for justice and continued their efforts in establishing the fate and whereabouts of their loved ones. They have my utmost admiration, and if my paper is able to contribute to these efforts, raising awareness as well as providing legal pathways, I'm proud and glad of having done so. In this regard, I would like to especially thank Professor Dr. Gabriella Citroni for introducing me to this fascinating topic, her dedication in assisting the families of enforcedly disappeared, and in general for having been the most wonderful and supportive supervisor I could ever have asked for. Since I'm also up here on this podium, I would also like to address two opinions shared by professors during the program. One professor stated that we, the MTJ and LLM students, would be the ones to change the world for the better. The other professor, however, while respecting this view, was slightly more pessimistic, and honestly, looking at the messed up state of the world, I can get where he's coming from. I could name the widely known ongoing humanitarian crisis: Lebanon, Gaza, the suffering of the Palestinian civilian population, the suffering of the hostages. I could name the less known ones, to highlight the more forgotten ones: Yemen, Sudan, Myanmar, the countless refugees, as well as the IDPs displaced all over the world. And I could make an appeal to the international community to finally undertake some significant efforts, because honestly, all those crises are man-made, and they could be ended rather sooner than later. I'm not going to do that, since honestly, more eloquent and influential people than I have tried, and as a result, they got declared persona non grata, so therefore, yeah, not really worth it. What I'm going to do, though, is to address my fellow students from both the MTJ and the LLM. In this past year, I spent my time with the most wonderful and engaged individuals, and it has been an absolute pleasure to see their dedication for a better humanity and the protection of those most in need. While this may sound very naive, I, first of all, don't give a damn. And second of all, I truly believe that if anyone has a chance of changing this world for the better, it's going to be people like us. I have been in the presence of greatness, and I'm incredibly proud of having been part of this cohort. So at least from my side, thank you. Lastly, there's only one thing left to address. I would not be exaggerating if I said that I had the best year of my life, and it has been only thanks to my friends. Most of them are in this room. Some of them are online. One of them is in Colombia. I wish I was in Colombia right now, but yeah. You have no idea how much you enriched my life by just being present in it, and every single moment spent with you meant the world to me. Honestly, I have no idea what I did to deserve having you in my life. I'm not going to complain because it was the best year of my life, as I said. And I would not be standing up here without you, and I definitely wouldn't have managed this program without you. So honestly, to conclude, there's just one thing left to say. Thank you from all my heart for everything.
Thank you, Ozan, for this message full of gratefulness and hope. So now I'm calling the best MTJ paper. It is afforded to Natalie Santana Sanchez.
Thank you, Ozan, for making me emotional right before I have to get up here. Good evening, dear professors, teaching assistants, fellow graduates, friends and family. It is an honor to receive this award for a topic that I'm deeply passionate about, and I'm truly grateful for the academic environment fostered by the Geneva Academy that allowed me to explore that. So my paper asks a deceptively simple question, one may say. It's, does reproductive violence have a place in transitional justice? And the question revealed complex answers, because when we look at the histories of conflicts and mass atrocities, we see a clear pattern. Reproductive roles and functions are routinely targeted as tools of wars, state terror, and even ethnic cleansing. Despite this, the discourses around reproductive rights have been overwhelmingly absent from transitional justice, making it seem as if reproductive violence was not a category of harm that reaches a certain threshold of gravity for transitional justice to deal with. So my research seeks to challenge this gap. Reproductive violence is a gender-specific violation, one where women, girls, and sexual and gender minorities are the primary targets. But while transitional justice now more routinely applies gender lenses, it often reduces gender harms to sexual violence alone, which invisibilizes violations that compromise reproductive autonomy specifically. When reproductive crimes are acknowledged, they're often miscategorized under an umbrella of sexual violence, obscuring the non-sexual nature of violations like forced contraception, forced sterilization, forced abortion, obstetric violence, and even denial of abortion in cases of conflict-related rape. So there comes the case study of my paper, which is Colombia. And Colombia's transitional justice process offers a groundbreaking case study. As the first country to recognize reproductive violence as an autonomous violation, Colombia's Truth Commission, for instance, held the first ever thematic hearings solely focused on violations of reproductive autonomy. shedding unprecedented light and visibility into armed groups and states' practices that targeted women and LGBTI persons' reproductive capacity. Similarly, the reparations unit now recognizes acts of reproductive violence as eligible for reparations, and its special jurisdiction for peace has opened a criminal investigation into the patterns of reproductive crimes related to the conflict. So my paper critically reflects on the lessons learned in Colombia's ongoing effort and calls for further push, both in Colombia and beyond. So ultimately, my paper explored what it means to center reproductive violence within transitional justice, and it suggests that Colombia's approach can inspire similar frameworks globally. This journey revealed the need to rethink how transitional justice addresses reproductive rights in order to adequately disrupt a continuum of gender violence that often predates and transcends conflicts. So now, moving away from the topic of my dissertation, I would like to take my time to really extend my gratitude, first to my supervisor, Professor Sareta Ashraph, to my professors, to our teaching assistants. Thank you all really for your guidance and your encouragement. To my fellow classmates, all of your ideas, all of your insights have sharpened my own. It has been a true privilege to share classes, discussions, parties, everything with you. Lastly, and I will say this in my language so that they understand, a mis padres que viajaron desde muy lejos para estar aquí celebrando conmigo, toda mi gratitud. Thank you all, and congratulations to my fellow graduates.
Congratulations, Natalie. That was really an excellent choice of topic. So now we are reaching the climax of this ceremony. We are going to afford the diplomas to all our students. And for that, I'm going to call my former colleagues, so the Executive Director, Maud Bonnet, and the Head of Education, Dr. Clotilde Pégorier. So we have to get organized here. Clotilde is going to give the names of the students. Maud is going to give the diploma. And I'm going to be in the middle, and you can come to me for a beautiful picture. Then you stay somewhere here, if I understand well, because then there is a kind of group photo. Is that correct? Okay, we got it.
Dear Executive Master participants, dear students, esteemed faculty members, teaching assistants, colleagues, dear family and friends, dear guests, I have the honor and the pleasure to call out all our graduates to the stage or online tonight. But before doing so, I wanted to personally congratulate you all on this fantastic achievement. You have all demonstrated a high level of commitment, dedication, creativity, engagement, and academic ability. You should be very proud of you. We are extremely proud of you. And now, as you embark upon and progress through your careers, I urge you to always remember where you have come from and to continue fighting the good fight as one of our distinguished Geneva Academy alumni. So now, without further ado, let's start the 2024 graduation ceremony, beginning with our Executive Master in International Law in Armed Conflict. Graduating cum laude online, Nijaj Abdullayev. Rafaela Coletti, graduating summa cum laude. Amber Darwish, graduating cum laude. Danielle Fife, graduating summa cum laude. Miriam Haddad, graduating online cum laude. Do I, graduating magna cum laude. Romina Incuti, graduating online cum laude. Alexandra Jackson, graduating cum laude. Carlos Rodra Marcos, graduating online cum laude. Rosafa Kelmendi, graduating cum laude. Marie Lequin, graduating cum laude. Osama Mater Maui, graduating online. Monica Markova, graduating summa cum laude online. Kanako O'Hara, graduating cum laude. Anna Lena Opitz, graduating online. Marion Paris, graduating here, sorry. Dominique Rastinger. Giada Rubino, graduating online cum laude. Shadi Semnani, graduating magna cum laude. David Wiley, graduating cum laude online. Harmet Yilmaz. Violeta Zahiri, graduating online magna cum laude. And also graduating online Emanuela Zidianaki, cum laude. So I congratulate all of you, and now we're going to take a group picture. So if you want to come through the middle for the group picture. Yeah, you need to let me know. I will now continue with the graduation of our LLM in International Humanitarian Law and Human Rights students, and we will start with 2023 graduating students. So I will call first Ali Abdelbari. Graduating online, magna cum laude, Marine Miranda. And finally, from our 2023 graduates, Paria Saremi. Now it's time for our 2024 LLM graduates. So graduating cum laude but online, Juan Acosta Penalosa. Graduating online, Usama Altisej. Graduating online, summa cum laude, Zoe Anastasiades. Graduating magna cum laude, Alita Anil. José Aznar Puyalto. Graduating summa cum laude. Wagjira Berizo, graduating online cum laude. Graduating magna cum laude, Ketevan Chapiacelli. Graduating cum laude, Priscilla Correa Palomino. Graduating summa cum laude, Eline Desmet. Graduating magna cum laude, Anastasia Jubanava. Graduating magna cum laude online, Joanna Egas Velasco. Graduating magna cum laude, Louison Ferrand. Graduating summa cum laude, Alessandro Giretti. Graduating magna cum laude, Niels Christian Grefra. Graduating cum laude, Ayomide Johnson. Graduating magna cum laude, Melody Callas. Graduating cum laude, Cheya Katele. Graduating online, Gobusa 1, Gosi Sejo. Graduating cum laude, Irene Martigartia. Graduating cum laude, Teresa Massone. Graduating online, magna cum laude, Ariana Mazzariello. Léonard Mieuxet. Graduating summa cum laude, Caroline Montag. Graduating cum laude online, Simone Ospina Piesciacone. Graduating magna cum laude, Hélène Perrault. Graduating magna cum laude, Mélanie Pinlac. Graduating cum laude, Alexandra Ramzaya. Graduating magna cum laude, Felicity Reed. Graduating magna cum laude, Julia Rivero Moedano. Aissatou Sam. Graduating magna cum laude, Baya Samarakun. Graduating summa cum laude, Michele Scolari. Graduating cum laude and online, Ritika Sharma. Graduating also online, summa cum laude, Jonas Skorzak. Graduating cum laude, Elena Skuspak. Graduating summa cum laude, Kilian Tixador. Graduating cum laude, Sheyatuk. Graduating summa cum laude, Pia Ulrich. Graduating cum laude, Clémence Vaudon. And graduating summa cum laude, Orzan Yildirim. So congratulations to all of you, and now it's time for you to do the honor for the group picture. It is a group picture. Here, group picture. Group picture, voilà. Last but not least, we will begin the graduation of our Master in Transitional Justice, Human Rights and the Rule of Law students. But before starting with you, we'll start with some 2023 students. So both of them are online, but I would like you to still congratulate Jocelyn Hassel, graduating magna cum laude. And also Sergio Ruano Dominguez, graduating cum laude. Now for you, our 2024 students. So first, graduating cum laude, but online, Balogize Beza. Graduating cum laude, Maria Clara Carmona Monsalve. Graduating summa cum laude, Martina Caslini. Graduating magna cum laude, Federica Cirillo. Graduating cum laude, Eva Contreras. Graduating cum laude, but online, Jacqueline Corella Buenano. Victoria Führer Valencia, graduating magna cum laude. Diana Gomez Davila, graduating cum laude. Gaia Grippa, graduating magna cum laude. Graduating magna cum laude, Brenda Uman Kondo. Graduating cum laude, Ilma Hussein. Graduating summa cum laude online, Ilaida Usik. Also online and graduating magna cum laude, Vatsala Kandelval. Graduating cum laude and online, Cynthia Komakek. Ikram Lemesh. Graduating magna cum laude online, Ina Linova. Graduating cum laude online, Nina Lupariello. Graduating summa cum laude, Rose Maginis. Graduating magna cum laude, Abdou A. Manet. Graduating magna cum laude, Louise Milcan. Graduating magna cum laude, Milica Mirkovic. Graduating magna cum laude, Christian Molina Delgado. Graduating cum laude, Yasmin M. Sadek. Graduating cum laude but online, Jackie Musubika. Also online, graduating magna cum laude, Afrida Noshin. Maria Ocampo Jalamillo. Graduating magna cum laude but online, Maria Clara Pino Valente. Graduating cum laude, Lina Kendil. Sarah Rajabi Mashadi, graduating magna cum laude. Roberto Romero Garcia, graduating magna cum laude. Graduating cum laude, Francesco Rossi. Ousmane I. Sané. Nathalie Santana Sanchez, graduating summa cum laude. Graduating, magna cum laude, Isabella Schneider. Graduating, magna cum laude, Yasmin Velasquez. And the last of tonight graduates, Maria Visbal Amaya, graduating magna cum laude. So now it's time for your group picture. Yeah. So congratulations to all of you. I would like to congratulate all our graduates one last time for this fantastic achievement. Congratulations. I will now hand the floor back to Gloria, who will conclude this 2024 graduation ceremony.
Did you see? Our students are not only smart, but they are so beautiful. So this is the end of the ceremony. I would like to seize this opportunity to warmly thank our faculty, made of professors of parent institutions, but also external experts, for sharing their knowledge and passion with our students. A particular thank you goes to Professor Marco Sassoli, who has been teaching all us. So Marco Sassoli has been teaching IHL from the very beginning at the Geneva Academy. And it is pretty clear that the reputation of the Geneva Academy would not be the one we know of without Professor Marco Sassoli. On a more personal note, I would like to add that not only Professor Sassoli was an amazing professor, but it is a person you can count on. As you can see, he's with us tonight for the graduation ceremony. He did not miss one single graduation ceremony. And when I was a director, it was so important to have faculty members like him and many others, obviously, on which you can count. You know, you invite them for conferences, you ask them advice, you ask them to supervise students for something additional, pleadings, picture, and so forth and so on. And he would always say yes if he was available. So thank you, Marco. I will never forget that. I would like also to thank our donors, especially for the 24 scholarships our students benefited from. As I mentioned before, we would not have the same diversity without our donors. So thank you. Thank you to our partners, of course, the Henri Dunant Prize Foundation, but also many other partners, and the list is always growing. I would like to thank my dear former colleagues of the Geneva Academy, Maud, the education unit, Clotilde, Gregory, Alina, Lotte, Anna, our communication and events team, Lina, Romain team. I have to say that I miss you all, even if I'm too shy to say it in bilaterals. Last but not least, I'd like to thank you, dear students and participants, or rather alumni now, for having chosen to study at the Geneva Academy. I wish you all the very best for your future. Judging from what our alumni community has been able to achieve, I'm really confident that you will soon become the decision makers, the international lawyers, the humanitarians, and TG experts our world needs. So let's celebrate this. And to do so, I invite you to go to the cafeteria upstairs to share a drink and something to eat as well. Thank you so much, and congrats.